So we have 2 more minutes and I'll start this session. Hello everybody, welcome. So welcome to PhD support. My name is Dr Nurul Hanim. I am known as Dr Hanim. And right now, most of you who are already logged in, can you make sure that you go to your setting and click on mute? All right. I think Lei Cheng is online. Can you click mute? So it's 3 o'clock and I will start presenting today's topic. Thank you. So welcome. It's 3 p.m. and I will start this session, PhD support session. The topic today will be, wait, hold on. I have to start recording. So I will start again. Okay, welcome everybody to the process of writing your literature review dissertation. Okay. What is dissertation? Dissertation means a very long essay. So today will be a process of showing you writing your literature review dissertation. So selamat petang for people in Malaysia. If you're in a different country, probably selamat pagi, selamat malam, or selamat tengah hari. So I want you to be clear. The instruction for today is, this is not a literature review class, okay? Just to be reminded. This session today is an overview of the process of writing your literature review dissertation. Dissertation means a very long essay. So, okay, I want everybody to be clear and come to me right now. To have you be alert in this session, I will stop at each learning objectives. I will explain to you what is the learning objectives for today. For you to do reflection on your own at the comfort of your home. It will give you some ideas to go reflect on your literature review dissertation. Okay, what is learning objective? I've break down the objective and what I will present to you and share with you today. Learning objective. Number 1, define various roles of theories in your dissertation. So remember, there will be a reflection after I've presented this section. Number 2, identify the purpose of literature review. Number 3, recognize the 3 stages of literature review. Number 4, analyze the writing process of a literature review. And number 5, list of review frameworks. Okay. So first thing is, what are theories? So theories is, you can imagine like a invisible, transparent puzzle. Theory tells researchers about the phenomena they are studying by using language, ideas, and conclusion. By bringing it all together, it ties previous study in the topic. All right. Jauhan, can you go to the left side of your chat or at the bottom? Click mute because I can hear myself right now. Jauhan, can you hear me? Go at the bottom and click mute. Okay, thank you. I think that's not you. It's Sauhan or something. Zahaohan. Or maybe I can mute you. Hold on. We have some technical, then I'll come back to you. Okay, so I'll continue with this session by bringing it all together. So to continue back with this session, what is literature review? And the first learning objective is theories. What are theories? So I'm identifying to you what are theories. You can imagine, if you're visual people, you can imagine theory is kind of like an invisible puzzle. You need to understand it, and then you need to connect it together. So theory tells researcher about phenomenon they are studying. So you have to use language, ideas, and conclusion. That's a theory. And the value of theory is to provide an analysis of previously collected knowledge. Previously collected knowledge are papers, books, anything that talks about the knowledge. To help the investigator will be you formulate a new approaches. Sometimes formulation of a theory may indicate missing ideas or links and the kinds of additional data required. So means that when you're imagining the theory is an invisible puzzle, how do you connect it together? You need to understand the previous knowledge to connect this information together. Maybe it's a missing ideas or missing links. Thus, theory is an essential tool of research in stimulating the advancement of knowledge. Means that it will advance your knowledge, your study. For example, if you want to do visual design, you have to understand what's the theory behind visual design and find out what is the missing ideas or link. You can link it together. So theories may be defined as the sequence of statements that are extracted, derived from theories, means that it's a statement. But you have to remember, it's not a statement from blogs. It's an academic statement where you have to find a database. Or generalization that explain or anticipate developments in a specific context or phenomenon. So in reference from Strauss and Corbin, 1995, page 15, had defined theory as a set of well-developed concepts related to statements of relationship which together constitute an integrated framework that can be used to explain or predict phenomenon. Why theory is important in your research? Kenapa? Kenapa or why theories is important in your research? Firstly, to understand the research topic, to show that you have understood the main theories in subject area and how they have been applied and developed, to understand the main critics that have been made on the topic, to find your research gap. I'm not sure if you just started, it's the most important, make sure you find your research gap through the theories. Yes, you can use that. Somebody asked the question. So classification of theories. So most of you probably already understand what are theories. I'm giving this information just to generalize to everybody. You can find other theories and create your own concept. Classification of theories explained through principle of social science. Why I took it from social science, because it's already grounded and then it's already proven, scientific proven information. So meta theories, grand theories, mid-range theories, and micro theories. Maybe this is not really important for you, but if you just started and trying to understand what is literature review, what is review of literature, and what is theories, you can go and find out what is all of this section is classification about. So this is just an example, an explanation what is meta theories. I have a reference here for you. You can copy or print screen or whatever you want to do. This is a book on meta theory in social science, pluralism and subjectivities. So basically what is meta theory is about It's describe the whole philosophical assumption concerning reality that are already accepted in research as clearly sets of boundary. Meta theories serve the following purpose: clarify the general assumption, specify the important problems faced in undertaking investigation, and specifying what are acceptable methods. So this is a meta theory. It's the biggest theory. It started with meta theories, and then you will go down into the micro theories. Grand theories are defined as all-inclusive unified theory. It's what is it all about? It seeks to explain social behavior, social organization, social change in human experience. So you can use grand theories in designing packaging or product if you want to do something out of the box visual design. So you need to understand, okay, where do I find these theories? Maybe you can go into grand theories. So number 2, provide the key concept and principle of the social science discipline. You don't need to do the social science discipline because we are in the arts section. So you can find out how to connect it back with your own research. Therefore, consists of the dominant meta theories or paradigms of the discipline. For example, grand theories can be feminism, Marxism, or democracy, anything. So that is category under grand theories. If you want to know more, you can go check out this book, Grand Theories and Ideologies in the Social Science. But don't be too, I'm not doing social science, I'm doing arts and design. So how do I link this back? Don't think as if you are doing social science. You're doing it as how do I find my gap using these theories? Okay. So your main point actually is your research. Mid-range theories represent theories that connect grand theories. So it's a connection of theory. Consists of limited sets of assumptions from which specific hypotheses are logically derived and confirmed by empirical investigation. What is empirical? Empirical means that other evidence. If you have a set of objectives, you already find evidence, and then it's a proven evidence. It's empirical. So that's what it means. Okay. Thus, when you engage in literature review, you are mostly discussing mid-range theory. So remember, when you are starting your literature review, you have to start with theory, the big theory, what it's all about, why am I looking for, it's invisible, how I'm going to find. And then you will focus on the next one, the theory. Next is micro theories. Micro theory consists of the lowest level of theories. They focus on individuals. So micro theory are smaller. Individual or small groups located in specific contexts as such. Explanation found in micro theories are the limited generalization on their own. They can, however, constitute essential inputs in the generalization of new perspective and theory development. For example, scholars use social studies to generate micro-theories that are then further developed through multiple case studies to become important inputs in mid-range theory formalization. So what you can understand from micro theory is that you develop a case study, you develop small theories. From that small theories, from your research objective, you can develop and formulate a mid-range theory. So it will become a bigger theory, conceptual. And it can be an empirical study. And because you have done micro theories that shows evidence. Yeah. So I'll go back rumusan from the theories. To use these theories, each level of theory listed will play a different role in your project. Okay. So to understand back this theory, meta theories define the philosophical foundation of your project. So meta theory define, because if you are a PhD student, you are doing PhD philosophy. So you need to understand the whole general philosophy of what you are studying. Like I showed you earlier, It's like an invisible puzzle. Okay, so you have to understand the philosophical foundation of your project. The grand theories define the boundaries of your project, of your subject investigation. Okay, grand theories define boundaries of your subject of investigation. So you will define it back with grand theories. Mid-range, however, is a discussion of your theoretical and developed variables to analyze. So you have a smaller mid-range theory so you can analyze. And essential, number 4, micro theories. An essential task in the project work process is for you to discuss most of the leading theories. Okay, so that are micro. This is all micro theories. Theories, meta theories, grand theories, mid-range theories, and micro theories that you can use to understand the philosophical study. So reflection. Okay. Get a pen of paper, write down your reflection. You only have 10 seconds, and then I will go back to the next section. Identify from your own experience and opinion the theories in your literature review dissertation. If you just started, maybe you can just reflect back on the theories that I've explained to you. Maybe you haven't heard of this term, or you have heard, or maybe you already understand how to write your literature review, but maybe you just write it down and see if it will help you. So I'll just give you 10 seconds. And then we'll go to the next one. Okay, it's 10 seconds. So this is the next learning objective, how to start doing literature review. Okay, so what is theory is all about and how to start. So yes, the hardest puzzle. So for people who are visuals, I'm just gonna give you this analogy. The hardest puzzle ever is the invisible puzzle. So you have to connect everything together without knowing what to do. But there are tips. There are tips on how to connect all this information together. So I'm going to share it with you. So the purpose of literature review, connect the invisible puzzle. Number 1, make sure you outline your research question. You can just start with a question. Explain what is your research is all about. Summarize the research. Identify the gaps. Okay, so from outline, explain, and summarize, this is where you need to understand the grand theories. Understand all the philosophical ever happened. But make sure you have your keywords lah. Keywords on what am I going to research about. Then you will find your gaps. Identify the gaps. Once you identify the gaps, present your research question. Your research question must be based on the theories that you already researched. So it's grounded. It has an empirical evidence from the theories that you already research on. So your question doesn't come out from invisible puzzle. It comes out from doing the theories, understanding what is it all about, and finding the gap. Number 6, clear arguments. You have to make sure that once you identify the gaps, have the question, clear argument. It should be clear for you when you create your question. Include key theories. So you already understand what's your theory, just include it, just write it down. Defend your argument with the theories. And number 8, research proposal versus final thesis write-up. So there's a difference between research proposal and final thesis write-up. So review of literature versus literature review. So this is a picture, probably a student or myself. Don't be worried. Oh, this person is a doctor, this person is a professor, or this is whatever. Everybody will go through review of literature, and everybody will go through literature review. So this is probably me or you or anybody else doing review of literature, and this is probably you or me writing my literature review or your literature review. So your research proposal, you will present a broad survey summary of the current literature review informing your proposal, there, which is identifying your gaps, identifying the research gap. And then you have to make sure that this is not the same as literature review, which is the critical evaluation and analysis of the literature upon which your dissertation rests theoretically. That's penat kan? In short, final thesis write-up. Means that literature review is your final thesis write-up. All the theories, the gaps, it connect together into one literature review. So, some tips to find your research gaps. So these are my tips for you to find your research gap. You can do bibliometric analysis to trace value creation. Use this method to identify gaps in your research. You may use it. Your supervisor have other methods. It's up to you. I'm just giving you some tips. Or do a preliminary study. You may use focus group. You may use focus group with 5 people, for example, who are expert in the subject matter. Okay, focus group. This is a method of finding preliminary gap. You may interview them. If you found that the expert agree with you, then you may found your research gap. To make your argument even stronger, you may use SLR, systematic literature review, to justify your research gap. So research gap is very important. There's a lot of methods, but these are my tips for you to explore. But you have to remember, when you do bibliometric analysis or preliminary studies or SLR, this is not your methodology, methodology section in your thesis. This is a methodology section in your literature review to find the research gap. So you're still in literature review, not in methodology. So remember that. A literature review consists of a critical evaluation of previously published works by other authors on a topic, while a critical assessment of the literature has already been complete. So I just want you to understand that literature review is a critical evaluation. So you are doing a critical evaluation. If you do masters or PhD, you do a critical evaluation of theories, published works. So those are theories. They use other theories to explain their micro theories, and by authors, whoever that you find out. Critical assessment of literature has already been completed. So this is kind of like a picture of it. You can visualize it. Literature review happens at 3 points in your research project. Number 1, during the development of your research question. So remember the 8 points that I showed you before. During your 8 points, you do the literature review during the development. Number 2, during the planning stage of research. Okay, once you've done the development of research question at the stage of planning your research, during the planning. Number 3, in finalizing your project and towards the end of the project. Means that literature review is continuous when you start your PhD or masters. Or if you're doing degree, you just want to explore what is literature review, fine, that's your degree. Okay, so preliminary analysis points you towards literature you had not previously considered, or to check for relevant studies published since your previous literature search. So for example, if you're doing a master's is 1.5 years or 2 years, or you extend 3 years, or PhD you extend 3 years, 4 years, or some more. Your first year literature review, you already studied, but suddenly you extend it until your 3rd year or 4th year. You have to make sure you go back to your first year preliminary study of your literature review in your first year and amend it continuously until you finalize everything. Importance of theory. So I have mentioned the theory before, the important The theory in your project is essential. Essential means that it's important, serving the following purpose. They demonstrate your understanding of the current body of knowledge in your chosen field of study. So for example, we are doing feminism. So you need to understand the grand theory of feminism. You have to understand it, explain in the knowledge that you understand, how to connect it back with maybe if you're doing visual studies or interactive media studies, new media or product or packaging, anything, you have to demonstrate your understanding in your as a dissertation. They provide you with a philosophical foundation on which you can ground your study. And number 3, they constitute an important part of overall research design of the project. Okay. Reflection again. So you have 10 seconds. I'll give you 10 seconds. Based on the literature review I've explained, write down the difference between a review of literature and literature review. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, if those of you have done and written it down for yourself, that's good. If you missed it out, that's okay. Maybe I can share the slides or video later. Okay, planning for literature research. Okay, how do you plan for your literature research? How do I find the literature? Where do I find the literature? Why do I find the literature? What am I looking for? Because it's an invisible puzzle kan, you don't know. So first thing, start with define the topic. General reading, prepare a list of terms. Okay, list of terms. Maybe feminism and visual communication, visual studies, for example. So list out the terms, define the topic, what can you look for. So that's the planning for literature research. Don't just go tembak saja. Nanti kan you go salah jalan. Number 2, think about the scope. So once you got the terms prepared and ready, you're doing scoping. Scoping means that you scope for the literature, because this generation we are in the digital. The literature is online, it's in the internet, and there's millions, trillions of literature online. Back then in the 50s or 60s or 70s, everybody have to go to the library, you have to go look one by one. But now you just do scoping. It's important to do scoping. How far back? 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Don't go 20 years lah. You can go for grand theories 20 years because it's the biggest philosophy. But for mid-range or other theories, you have to make sure that go 5 years or 10 years, because it will be too old. The information will be too old and it's not relevant anymore. Number 3, sorry. Think about the outcome. What is it you want to get out of the research? So while you are doing planning, defining and scoping, still put in your head, what is it you want to get out of this research? What is it that you want? So the objective is important juga lah. The initial objective. Number 4, think about the management. Management means that how are you going to manage the research result? Because there will be a lot of research. If you study somebody's thesis, the research references will be like more than 10 references. And then there's different kind of references style. So you can use either Mendeley, EndNote, RefWorks or Zotero. Personally, I use EndNote because it's more versatile and it's easier to change the reference style. Some people will use Mendeley, okay, and others that I've shared with you. Number 5, plan sources to be searched. The list of sequence of source to be searched. Database lah maksudnya. The meaning is database. Make sure when you're planning all to do your literature, you have to have the database. If you go on online search database, you can go to E-library, USM e-library, www.lib.usm.my. You can go there and find your database. But remember, when you go find your database, make sure it's specific, the database specific to your field of study. Don't go to physics or engineering punya database or biology or medical. You will never find anything in there. Because some people will say, oh, I've done my research, but I cannot find the gap. Maybe maybe there are some flaws in researching the gap. Okay, maybe it's the wrong database or whatnot. The 3 stages of literature research. Okay, this is still looking for literature. It's not writing your literature review. Okay. First stage, using research search engines. Share it with you USM e-library. You can go there. And other sources to make large collection of relevant materials. If you want to look at all materials like Malaysian cultural information or anything about Malaysia, they have archive in KL. You can go there personally, but I think archive in Malaysia, they have online. So you may be, because of the pandemic, everything is online now. So you can go to archive and find out how to get to this material instead of traveling and go there and do scoping there. Okay, so this is just some example. Second stage, reading through the abstract, summarize, etc. that you have obtained using this to find further materials. Reading through means that you have to read read all this material. What is the evidence that you can find? How do I understand? Okay. So there are tricks on how to read this material rather than spending the whole week on one article. What you can do is read the abstract and read the summary and maybe read a little bit about the methodology, and you will find out what is it about. And I think there is a method to find this as well. There's a list of it. Third stage, consider all the materials and determine which papers and chapter need to be read in depth, where the gaps in the literature lie. Not lie means tipu, lie means terletak. Consider all the materials and determine which papers and chapters need to be read in depth. Means that once you read through and if you find the gap, great. If you haven't find the gap, go through again. There's a method on finding the gaps, and then you can write your objective based on that. It can be continuous, means that awak boleh, you can be stuck. But if you stuck means that you are learning. Reflection. Again, write down in under 10 seconds as many benefits of planning literature research for your dissertation. Dissertation means a very long essay. So I've given you the example and you can write it down. So 10 seconds. All right, next. So the process of writing a literature review. So I'm in the fourth learning objective. The process of writing a literature review. Okay, be aware there's 8 points in here. Pre-writing. So this is the process of writing it. You have to do pre-writing, how to do pre-writing, note-taking, free writing, brainstorming. Okay, so we can see that some people put sticky notes, they free write and brainstorm. Number 2, planning, organizing, focusing ideas, mind mapping, lists and outline all the information that you found out. Drafting, write initial draft or a text, focusing mainly on the development, organization, elaboration of ideas. Reflection. Okay, this is all 3 process will be part of your research proposal, and it can be time consuming. So you can take a rest and let it sit and come back and reflect back. Betul ke? Is it am I going in the right direction? Did I find the gap or not? Peer tutor review means that discuss with your supervisors, ask how am I going to improve this. Revision, further develop, clarify ideas. Additional research idea means that once you revision or you feel that you need more ideas to be add on, you can do additional research data. Editing and proofreading. Of course, editing and proofreading is important. You really need to do the editing, means that your writing style should be academically written, not like a, a text message kind of writing. I think you know what I mean. Tips to analyze your writing process. Okay, so you connect everything together. How to make sure, how to analyze. You as the researcher, you have to analyze your own work. So you have to confident kan. You can use mind mapping. So maybe how to create mind map. Create mind map. Oh, this is your key terms and what go next, what go next, and what go next. So this is a mind map. I think most of you know what is mind map, how to use it. So I'll just show it to you. Use funnel question. So maybe you want to do focus group and you want to ask experts. Make sure they are experts and verified expert. It's not just that, oh, they say they're expert, therefore I'm doing a focus group. You have to make sure that you have evidence saying that they are expert in the field. How do you find evidence? Get their background, biography or anything. Okay, so funnel question, you can write funnel approach. Start with broad question, open-ended. Open-ended means that question that can be something open lah. It's not a yes or no question. It's explain, a question that can be explained and develop some more. So you start with open-ended question, and then you clarify the question with funnel down, missing information and filling the gaps. Funnel down means that you can go into close-ended question, yes or no, no or yes, until you find out the close-ended question for your research gap. So, yeah. Review the literature. So you went through all this process and then you want to review. Theoretical foundation of your research with the grand theory, studies that are generally related, broader history, topics in your field, studies that are similar to your similar topic, population, design, and maybe you can find your research gap. Okay, create an argument with an initial skeletal argument. Okay, when you want to write your literature or review of literature, make sure that you start out, okay, I'm going to do this and this and this, and then you expand from there. Okay, you already pre-plan your literature review. Look into the level of analysis, analyze the literature actively, means analyze it, evaluate relevance to the project, means that, okay, if you want to do product design on a theory on feminism, then go there. Only, don't go into something that's talking about medical theory on women. So it's different. So make sure it's relevant, all the theories when you are connecting it together. Selected materials directly relevant to the review. Create a conceptual framework for the project. Okay, what is conceptual framework? Somebody already asked and they already understand. For those of you who are not sure, I will explain in the next slide. Including an operational research problem. What is operational, which is your research question lah. As simple as that actually sebenarnya. Yeah, steer away from overly descriptive analysis writing. So you already done your literature review, you already do the scoping, you identify your gaps. Now you want to write it down. But I'm sharing with you, when you're writing it down, steer away. Steer away means that do not overly write descriptive style writing. Descripting means that Abu says this, Ali says this, blah says this, whatever says that. Therefore, my research gap, I will want to talk about this. You're just describing. Don't overly describe. You can describe, but maybe in a few section and another section you critique. Okay. Develop your own narrative. Narrative means that write your own style, use your own words. How do you talk to your mom or your friends? That's your narrative. Put it on paper. And how do you upgrade your narrative, like WhatsApp style narrative into academic? So you have to constantly write. Yeah, this is just an explanation. You can read this through. It is a creative act to bring together the research relevant to your study that shows your reader the patterns in what you found. Okay. So next, your writing reviews must have its own narrative, offer coherent, logical story. So it's a story, yeah. It's a story of you doing the research, understanding the theory, getting the gaps, putting out the question. And then you can start doing your methodology. Putting the literature review dissertation together. Okay, so how do you put this together? So you found all the literature, you've discussed your writing using, how do you put it together? So these are writing tips I'm sharing with you as well. Using hooks. What are hooks? I'll explain in the next section. Using anecdote. What is that? Okay. Number 3, define and discuss main concept, conceptual framework of find and use the source text. So what is hooks? These are example. Identify the takeaway. So if you went to an English class, probably you already know how to write hooks, but basically it's a strong hook is an attention seeking headline which frame the review or any particular section within it. So it's something that will attract people to your research gap or research objective, and why is it important for you to study this problem, and why is it important for the academic world, and are you solving the in telling people that it's important to do this. Yeah, this should not be newspaper style. Means that newspaper style means it's not tabloid kind of hooks. It's academic style hooks. Okay. You can, for example, for academic, you have to do statistics. Like I said, you do the preliminary study, get the data to find your research gap, and then you can get that data can be form of statistics, or you do SLR, or you do the bibliometric analysis. This can be a form of timeline or relevance for the research today. So this is an example. So for example, you've done your bibliometric analysis and you found out a statistic, then you can write a hook saying that, oh, based on the review I've done for my preliminary study, the statistics, blah, blah, blah. So that's our hook for academic research writing, not newspaper style. Okay. Anecdote. What are anecdotes? A short account of particular incident or event, especially of an interesting or assuming nature. What happened to me type story. You can use this. You can use anecdote for your research writing, for your research dissertation. However, do not use it too many times. Okay, it can become wearisome. Means that it doesn't have any evidence. So it keep using your own experience. So why? what's the theory behind your experience. You have to back up your writing based on the theories. Okay, define and discuss main concept. It is important to define your key terms and concept to inform the reader what you mean by the terms being used. So you have all these terms that you research on. You have to define and discuss this concept. So key concept is conceptual framework, or what is theoretical framework? Have you asked that question to your supervisor, or have you asked that internal question for yourself? I'm still not sure what is conceptual framework. I'm still not sure what is theoretical framework. But I understand that theory is important and concept is important. But what is it? So conceptual framework includes one or more formal theories. I've explained to you earlier in the initial slide, there are 4 types of theories, but there's more. But I shared with you 4 theories. So for the formal theories as well as other concept and empirical findings. Empirical finding can be the micro theories, evidence, and other concept means I'll show you in the other slide. Okay, as well as other concept and empirical finding from the literature. And what is theoretical framework? Theoretical framework are concepts often have multiple definitions, so the theoretical framework involves clearly defining what you mean by each term. Okay, for example, okay, key concept. A concept is a big idea, a principle or conception that is enduring, the significance of which goes beyond aspects such as particular origins, subject matter, or place in time. Okay, this concept can be theories as well. So it's interrelated juga lah. So it can be communities, time and space, identity, creativity, aesthetics, system, culture, change, relationship, global interaction, communication, perspective, connection, logic, development, or form. So I've shared with you the reference. You can go find Wiggins' Understanding by Design. So these are some key concepts that you can look into. And find and use the source text means that, okay, you understand the philosophy, the theories, mid-range, whatnot, the concept of your research, your dissertation, your review of literature, find and use the source. So the text the source text. Okay, do not merely accept the perceived view of an author. Maybe an author may say something in their case study or whatever, but you still have to question how and why. Yeah, as a research students, you can start with how and why on every literature that you think is relevant to your study. Always locate and carefully read the keywords yourself and find good reviews of the text which tease out the variety of interpretation. If you find something is important, make connection and link back. If maybe 5 or 3 people said the same, then that would be great. So doing literature review of literature, you have to manage your reference or the literature that you have. So this is just a joke for you lah. I noticed you haven't cited your source. I too like to do it dangerously. So if you've been in this field for a while, I think you understand what I mean. If you just started, you will soon understand the joke. This one, waiting for EndNote to install. So I use EndNote. So hopefully you will use EndNote to manage all your references. And I like to welcome you to the citation games because there are many types of reference. Inshallah, I will share to the PPT. Many types means that your supervisor probably use different kind of referencing citation or referencing style. Means that you have to ask your supervisor. And if you want to publish an article, make sure you go and check article or journal, check the journal, what type of referencing style they are using. Maybe they are using APA, but you are writing using MLA or Chicago. So this is the point that you really need to take a look lah. Okay, so I recommend you use EndNote. So because you can automatically change your reference style without typing it one by one, because sometimes you can find more than 10, more than 20. I myself have 200, 500 references in my EndNote. Okay, so doing manually is very dangerous. Introduce links, introduce and link your text together. Assembling a review is in effect assembling academic argument. So you create an argument based on the review of article that you have had. Write the literature review, academic. People keep maybe some people will say your writing is not critical. Your writing is not critical. What does critical writing means? Critical thinking means that it is not descriptive lah. Like I mentioned previously, do not write it in descriptive manner. Make sure you argue based on your own tone of voice. Yeah, tone of voice. For example, if you arguing with your boyfriend or girlfriend, I want to buy this dinner, I want to buy this dinner, and then you justify. That justification is kind of like a critical thinking. But don't do that in PhD level. PhD is academic writing. I'm just giving an example. So these are the points of writing your literature. Critically engage with what has been done before. Synthesizing means that you if you feel this is not relevant, throw it away. If you feel it's relevant, keep it. Not relevant, keep. That's synthesizing. You exclude or include. Challenging existing orthodoxy means that maybe 20 years ago somebody mentioned about the grand theory philosophy, but you want to challenge that theory. So challenge it. You can, as long you have the right evidence, the right argument, the right hook, the right gap. Seeking to extend debate. Why not? You can do a debate. Make sure a debate is healthy, because some people feel that a debate is just putting people down. But in PhD or master, a debate is supposed to be healthy and it's supposed to be encouraging. Okay, so this is my style. I'm not sure about you. Number 5, identifying issues which you wish to pursue. So find it, identify it. Be the researcher that you want to be. The components part of the review must then hang together in a sustained academic rigorous manner with logical flow. What it means when you write, it will need to be sustained academically rigorous manner. Means critically, when somebody say it's not critical writing, this is critical writing. Sustained academically rigorous manner with logical flow. Your dissertation as a whole is a persuasive, you persuade people, argumentative, exploratory narrative, and your literature review needs to pick up and connect your research question with the area of work in which it fits, while exposing the gap you seek to fill or the problem which you wish to raise. Okay, you can print screen or whatnot. Reflection. If you've been listening the last 45 minutes, you can analyze your writing process of the literature review. What's your writing process? Have I done this writing process that Dr. Hanim had shared? Or how can I improve my writing process? Just write it down. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 10 seconds is up, and then we'll go to the next slide. Review frameworks. This is important, and I think I also need to improve this section as well. Chronicle. Once you have your literature, all this finding, all these gaps or whatnot, how do you write it? How do you put it together? What kind of style that I want to write? These are the style, review frameworks that you can use. Chronological reviews, thematic reviews, cross-disciplinary reviews, theoretical framework reviews. Yeah, it's quite famous, theoretical framework reviews for you to explain, but I'll just explain to you the other reviews that you might choose to write. Chronological is not recommended for literature review because it's more descriptive. Go next. But if you want chronological reviews, you can write in an argumentative manner. So this is an example, chronological literature review. It provides the overview, history, chronologically about whatever philosophy that you're talking about. Do not fall into trap, being rather descriptive. So I already mentioned here, do not be descriptive because you can fall into descriptive lah when you do chronological. Instead, try to tell a story, have your own narrative about the literature from your notes, have your own voice in your writing review. At the end of your chronological review, you need to create a summary that leads into the formulation of the research question you are going to ask. Okay, remember we are still in literature review, not methodology. Okay, so if you are visual people, this is an example of the visual of chronological review. You start from whatnot and then until today. Okay, next is thematic. Thematic is possible to identify patterns of research and to group the studies according to these patterns or themes. This can be discussed under different headings to give an overview of the relevant research for your project. At the end of the theme, summarize the key points and include linking sentence to the next paragraph. So thematic ada dia one topic and then you explain based on that one topic and then another topic you explain. So this is an example of thematic statement. It's an example lah. You don't need you don't use this for your research. You can reflect back into your research. So this is an example. What is perseverance? These are the points of perseverance and so forth. Cross-disciplinary review. A cross-disciplinary review framework where studies within a particular discipline can be described and discussed with reference to the theoretical focus that a specific discipline. When going through the various studies relevant to your project, your project is not your friend's project, it's your project. You firstly located where each work sits and when summarizing the work provide some background to the distinct disciplinary orientation. This will help you identify issues yet to be addressed, this perspective that you are searching. Cross-disciplinary review are usually written with a bias towards your discipline. Okay, bias means that it will when you do cross-disciplinary, you focus on different kind of themes. For example, this is an example, English, science, history, and geography. So English is one discipline, science is another, history and geography. All this will create your research concept, but it will focus bias back to your own discipline. It can be anything that you are doing right now. So, okay, so this is cross-disciplinary review. Last is theoretical framework review. Theoretical framework acts as a lens so that the studies are relevant, specifically in relation to how they relate to the assumption of a particular approach or theory, taking up a particular viewpoint and then providing a review that offers a critical account, gaining a deeper understanding of an area. As you develop your skills, you will also begin to develop your own particular theoretical commitment and orientation, which may influence how you want to write your review. So it means that as you develop understanding the review of literature, you probably find your own commitment. Commitment means that your own beliefs on something. So for example, here incentive theory, our behavior is dedicated by the desire for external rewards. For example, this theory says that, and then you are committed to this theory, and then you believe that incentive theory is based on the desire for external rewards. Then you can write that theory, form the theory, write it. But I'm not saying some people will disagree. That's where the debate happen. But it's not. You should take disagree or debate as a positive feedback for you to improve, not as in somebody is putting you down. So this is just a comment and a sharing. Oh, another section. This is the final reflection. If you've been here since the 1 hour, create your list of review frameworks that can benefit your dissertation. Dissertation means a very long essay. So I've shared with you the review frameworks. Which one is it the best for you, or maybe you want to explore all? It's up to you. So create a review frameworks that can benefit your dissertation. Okay, 10 seconds is up. If you print screen, great. You write it down, great. If you don't understand, that's okay. That's good. You are learning. Last tips. Please do not feel like you have to find everything ever written on topic. Please do not write your literature review without structuring it. So you have to structure it first, then find it. Nanti you cari-cari dalam needle and haystack and then tak cari, tak jumpa. If you are not Malay, you don't understand, means that structuring, you have to organize it properly. Okay? Then you cannot find it. Please do not write when you're not in the right space of it. Means that if you're feeling down, everybody will feel down. If you're tired or you're hungry or you're stressed out, whatever it is that you are feeling, don't write. Please don't write. Just stop, take a rest, go out, do jogging, have fun with your friends. When you're feeling better, come back and write. Okay? Please do not attempt to write perfectly in the first draft. Go back and polish. Means that once you write your paragraph, leave it, come back and polish. Second paragraph, leave, come back and polish. That's what you do. Simply describe the literature. Please do not simply describe. Don't use description. This person say that, this person say that. Create an argument. Why this person say that? Why that person say that? How this person say connects with the other person. So these are questions that you can create argument. Worry if you have anxiety. Please do not worry if you have anxiety about writing. Everybody does, including me. Okay, including the professor somewhere. Everybody does, don't worry. So this is a picture for you to visualize anxiety. Anxiety can be used as an energy source, researcher. So you delight for your research. Okay, so start writing with 1 paragraph a day. So this one, comic, PhD comic. This is probably you. It's probably me. And then you're feeling happy. Yes, yes, yes. And I'll probably say, okay, you finish a paragraph. How's the rest of that thesis coming? I like to take some time to appreciate my rare moments of productivity. Means that once you finish the paragraph, congratulate yourself, pat yourself on the shoulder, enjoy your time and come back again. But not enjoy until 1 year lah. Okay, enjoy for a moment, have a coffee, drink, go chat with somebody and start again. Okay, one more last tips from me to you. Okay, what time is it? Oh, we're finishing. It's 4 o'clock, 1 hour. So this is my one last tips for you from Chat Perry. I use this method to do my thesis. And I use this method for my students, PhD students or master students. So this is just a breakdown breakdown planning for your dissertation. Very long essay. So this is an example of a 20 months, 50 words for estimated 50 words thesis completed in, you can plan, this is the structure that I've been talking about. You plan your writing. So what I've explained to you is just this section, literature reviews saja. I didn't mention at all about methodology or data analysis. So what I've explained to you is this part. If some, probably not 50 words, 50,000 words, it can be more, it can be less, but this is estimated. So you can plan if you're doing your PhD or master's 3 years or 4 years or even 2 years. This is the plan that you can follow. Estimated, not exactly. Maybe you can be faster, maybe you can be slower, but follow your own pace. This one, approximate plan for 65,000 words thesis. Okay, there's the difference between DBA thesis and philosophical thesis. Philosophy, you have to have more writings. You have to understand the grand theories, the philosophy more. So it should be more writing. So it can be up to 2 to 3 years or 4 years. So what I've mentioned just now is this section, literature review. So you can take a look, literature review, 55 pages. How long do you want to take? 6 months. For philosophical, you can take about 7 months. Some people take 6 months as well. So this is example. If you want to look further, you can go to Chet Perry, a structured approach to presenting thesis. Okay, maybe some supervisors have different kind of approach. You as a student, ask your supervisor, what's the best thesis construction? Because sometimes literature review can be breakdown into few chapters. Maybe you can chapter 2, 3, 4, and then it's still literature review, and then 5, 6, 7, it will be methodology, data analysis, conclusion. So this is an example. That's all from me. Terima kasih. It's been 1 hour summarizing literature review. And if you have any question or want to have a class for this subject, if there's a lot of people, then I have to do the class. But if you have any question, you can email me. You can take the email, hanimromaino@usm.my, or you can WhatsApp me, 012-699-2769. This is not broadcast, so it's okay. So, okay, that's all for me. I'll stop sharing. Now I'll just open for question. If you have any question, anybody want to ask me some question, you can do so. The question, do you have any question do you want to ask me?
I think there's a question in the chat, Dr. Hanim from Fatima.
Oh, there's a question. Okay, I didn't notice the chat. Thank you, Dr. Sarina. Let me check the question. Wow, there's a list of questions. Let me check. Okay, so I'll start with Creso and I'll go down from the question. Somebody say it's very hard to find specific theory for the field of art. Yes, it is hard because it's a new subject. Arts can fall under social science. You can use, you can explore the philosophy under social science, but you have to specific in your topic of art. So what topic in art do you want to look at, for example? If you want to look into Marxism, or if you, what kind of art can be anything. It is very subjective. So try to make your art objective, write it down and make it objective, find your keywords, then find your theories. Maybe it will help you. Yeah. Yes, Dr. Sarina, read some more. Okay, another person have theories from other field, then bring it to art field. Yes, bring it. You can bring that into art. Create your conceptual framework. Yes, can. Yes, you can do that. Research question, Zahara. Okay. Research question. I've mentioned that 8 points. If you already done your research proposal, you probably already have your set of research question for you to continue with the literature review and do your methodology. But if you haven't done your research proposal, you start a research question to have a concrete research question to fill in the gap. So I mentioned the identify gap. So you start off with a question or terms to find out your research gap. Okay. I hope I answered that. Did I answer that for you, Zahara? Okay. It can be specific or it can be general because like I mentioned, if it's still a proposal level, it can be generic. It can be anything. You just write it down, make your mind onto paper, make it objective on paper. Anything you can do. You don't critique whatever you're thinking. This is for proposal level. Once you're done your proposal level, find out the keywords, the key concept, and then look into the theories that you are looking for. And then you can find in the database. And then look into the gap. Okay. Another method that you can do is proven. Use the bibliometric bibliometric analysis process. Okay. But this is not your methodology. It's just still literature. It's just finding your gap, to identify your gap. Once you identify your gap, you can create your research question in a specific manner where you can start your research to do that micro theory. Somebody asked, can I have the PPT? Yes, you may have the PPT, inshallah. Question. Okay, thank you. Okay, two people asked, inshallah, I'll send you the PPT. If you email me and I'll give you the PPT. Give you those. Okay. The theories that I've mentioned, it can be specific to your literature review. But if you, like micro theories, for example, is a small evidence of information to create the mid-range theories, for example. So that one can be, you can start with that micro theories, but micro theories is more, it's like identifying a gap. And you can use micro theories to identify your research gap. Like I mentioned previously, there's a lot of methods to find your research gap. This is another form of creativity in writing research. I've shared with you the process of writing research gap, but you can still use case studies or micro theories to identify that gap. Yeah. All right. Okay. Theoretical framework. It's a set of writing. It's a set of writing. Once you've identified your concept, the theory, based on the key terms that you have written, then you can write a more in-depth theoretical framework where you want to argue or you want to, if you want to, challenge an old theory, an old grand theory. So you can do that. if you want to know more, and there's another class for in detail on how to write a theoretical framework. Basically, it's all literature review. How do you put your pieces together, like the picture of the invisible, what do you call that? Invisible jigsaw puzzle. Okay. Okay. I want to ask how to avoid the repeat of context of literature with introduction, chapter 1, and conclusion. Oh, okay. Introduction is telling people what I'm going to do. Okay, so you write down what you want to do. Normally, people don't write introduction first. Introduction is like it's kind of like your conclusion. But how do you, the trick to writing introduction or apps, you just say, I'm going to, and then you have to tweak your writing style, use proper hooks, academic hook like statistics, why is it important, what's the gap, and so forth. And then you just tell people it's important to do. And your conclusion, when you write, you say, I've done this research, this is the hook, this is the statistic, this is what I found out. And the objective when I did this, that's the conclusion. You just explain back, you wrap up the writing. So, okay, everybody, most of you is asking for the PowerPoint. Okay. I will share the PowerPoint, inshallah. I think there's no more question. Is there more question? Anybody want to ask? Okay, in the PPT, that is just a rough example. It doesn't mean it has to be mathematically calculated. It's just an estimated section. But you have to go back to your supervisor. It will give you a guideline of what do you want to write in your literature review. If you're just starting doing PhD or masters, you don't know where to go, that guideline can help you start. But your supervisors have different kind of method. You ask them first. Okay, this is my structure, how I'm going to do this, so forth. Make sure you communicate, communicate back your plan. Is there any other question? It's 4:15.
Oh, hi. I have one quick question. Thank you.
Yes.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, I have one question. Do I have to read all of the literature in order to proceed the literature review? All of the literature, or I just pick up some importance and then I can
you can pick up. Yes, thank you for the question. In the slides just now, I shared with you, you don't need to read everything. You can read the abstract. Firstly, what you can do is when you do scoping. Scoping means that you scope the literature, you identify the literature that relevant to your keywords, your key concept, your key research. So when you do scoping, maybe you have 10, 20 or whatnot, I don't know, or one, or maybe two literature. Make sure after you've done your scoping, you look at the literature. First, you start with the title, then you read the abstract, and then you go to the conclusion, and then you go back up and look at the methodology, because you need to find out the theory that these people are writing. And then you link back with your study, if it's relevant or not.
My question is, say, for example, I want to research the garden. So do I have to, do I have to research, search everything just relate to my topic and then to read, or I just pick up some classical one and more relevant?
Oh, okay. If you're researching on garden like garden, kan?
No, garden.
Garden?
Stardom, like star. Yeah, stardom. Yeah.
What is pardon?
Oh, no,
Sorry.
no, not pardon. It's a stardom. Star system.
Can you write that down? So because I don't understand right now.
Sorry.
I understand garden.
No, guys. Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. We make it clear. It's all right.
Um.
Oh,
It
stardom.
doesn't. Yeah,
Is that
yeah.
correct? Is that what
Yeah,
you mean?
yeah.
What? First thing you need to explain what does stardom means. But when you explain, do not make it so descriptive. Means explain. You have to write a story. What does stardom means, for example. So but when you write stardom, and then you want to say stardom means something, you find an evidence from a literature review, from a literature somewhere. Maybe the old one 20 years ago, the grand theories, or the new one, the micro, mid-range or whatnot theories. Then you connect back, make your own story, make your own writing, create a proper hook. So when you want to find out the literature, you can start off with what is stardom. Write down on the paper what is stardom. How am I going to explain stardom to someone that doesn't know? Write that down. Then you will develop your literature review, and then maybe you'll find out the research gap once you start writing. Start writing that first paragraph. What does stardom means? Okay.
So,
Yeah.
so I have to give the explanation, the definition to define what the stardom is.
Yes. But don't use Wikipedia explanation. If you use Wikipedia's explanation, make sure you write it on your own words, paraphrase your own words, and then find evidence from books, academic books or academic writing. Okay, stardom means something with your own words, reference.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So
Okay.
maybe we can discuss more later. So okay. So thank you.
Maybe
Much
you can
appreciated.
discuss more. Yes, and maybe we can ask your supervisor as well.
Oh yes, definitely. Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
All right. Template about literature review. Okay. Template. What do you mean by template? How to start writing your literature review ke? There's no template to write a literature review. There's no template because literature review is depends on the person. But I've shared with you in the slides on how to start writing and how to find the literature. It start with your own question, your first question, and then like I mentioned, if you feel anxiety, everybody does. I do. Please don't worry. If you have anxiety, just stop, go for a walk, have a coffee, exercise, make sure, then come back. It's part of your energy. You can use that to writing. But the tip is write one paragraph based on your first question. If you haven't write your proposal, start writing that paragraph. If you have done your proposal and you're continuing with your research studies, you already understand what you want, you have your objective, go back to your literature review, understand, did you identify the gap? If you haven't identified the gap, you can start tweaking. Don't delete your literature, keep it. If you feel that it's ugly or wrong or whatnot, just keep it somewhere in your document, because you can use that later. If you feel that your writing is not nice, keep it, because it can be useful for you. Okay. What is important is start writing that first paragraph. The template, you can use the slide and then you just go one by one how to start your literature research, literature review, your long essay. Okay, thank you. You're welcome. So ada soalan lain tak? Anybody? Soalan means question. If you've been to Bahasa Melayu punya kelas, soalan means question. Do you have any soalan? Tak ada siapa-siapa ada soalan? Do you have any question? Okay, sama-sama. Thank you, Chen Sin Sin. All right. Okay. Ada anybody else? I think that's all. Oh, you guys want the link to the Google Drive? Okay, so I'll just copy. Mustaqim. Oh ya, yeah. Nak tanya apa? Ya, saya tanya. So I think I'll end this after somebody say saya nak tanya. After that, then I'll just log off and hope you have a good evening jugalah. I think Mustaqim Mustaqim nak tanya apa? Or do you want my slide email tadi ke? You can, did you get my, if you got my email, just email me, or if you want to WhatsApp me, I'll try to respond as quickly as possible, or ask Dr. Sarina.
Hanim, what we will do is that, sorry, Dr. Hanim, what we will do is that we will get the recording from you and a PDF version of the PowerPoint, then we will get help from Puan Sabaria to email to all postgrads from SOTA, okay?
Yes, okay.
Yeah,
That's
then
a good idea. Thank you,
yeah,
Dr.
so
Sarina.
you don't have to entertain one by one.
I'll go like, oh my God, on my
Okay,
mind.
so please check your email within this week so that you don't miss out on that email, okay?
Yes. Oh, I got one more question and then I'll just log off ya. Kalau ada literature yang kita rujuk. You can rectify the differences. Either you email the writer, ask them kenapa dia berbeza. So this person asks if you kalau literature yang kita rujuk after experiment result berbeza dengan literature. It can be irrelevant or it can be something that you want to challenge. So you have to measure balik why is it different. And then find other studies or timbangkan balik. Is it relevant? If it's relevant because it's different, you want to challenge, find the evidence, find the literature, do micro theories to challenge that. Ataupun if it's not relevant, just put it away. Remove it from your study. Don't worry about it. Macam tu lah. Sebab nanti it will burden you as well. If it's not relevant and then you keep looking at it and looking at it, and then it will be burden for you. It happens to me too. So not worry that you feel that if you're all alone. Everybody will experience the same thing, but in a different level. Okay, I think that's all. It's 4:30. I've answered most of the question. Thank you. And Dr. Sarina will get back to you with the video and the slide. Yeah. All right. That's all for me. Thank you, everybody. So
Thank you, Dr. Hanim. Thank you, Dr. Hanim.
You're welcome. This is my daughter's punya.
I need to get one of those.
Yeah, you're like, cepat.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I'll just log off, yeah, Dr. Sarina.
Yeah, sure. No worries.
Okay. Okay,
Bye.
bye.
Thank you, doctor. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Jeannie, for helping muting semua.